people. I appreciate you for participating in that basketball yesterday. Good testimony for Union Park. Good job, Jeremiah, leading your team. We're going to read from Matthew's Gospel, chapter 14, verse 22 to 33. It's a miracle, so it's easy reading. Immediately, Jesus, he made the disciples get into the boat and go before him to the other side, while he dismissed the crowds. And after he had dismissed the crowds, he went up on a mountain by himself to pray. When evening came, he was there alone, but the boat by this time was a long way from the land, beaten by the waves, for the wind was against them. And in the fourth watch of the night he came to them walking on the sea. But when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were terrified and said, "It's a ghost!" And they cried out in fear. But immediately Jesus spoke to them, saying, "Take heart, it is I. Do not be afraid." And Peter answered him, "Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water." And he said, "Come." So Peter got out of the boat and walked on the water and came to Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid, and beginning to sink, he cried, "Lord, save me!" Jesus immediately reached out his hand and took hold of him, saying to him, "O you of little faith, why did you doubt?" And when they got into the boat, the wind ceased. And those in the boat worshipped him, saying, "Truly, truly, you are the Son of God." Father, we give you thanks for another reminder of the power bestowed on your Son, Jesus Christ. The power displayed by your Son, Jesus Christ, over the winds and the waves. And sometimes the winds and the waves of life just beat against us and toss us to and fro. Help us to be reminded from this account, from this miracle, that your Son, Jesus Christ, can walk through the storm and come to us. And even say to us, "Come." Help us to be obedient. Help us to be trusting. And help us to realize in him the power that he has over the winds and waves of our lives. In Jesus' name we pray. And everybody say, Amen. You may be seated. Taking risks. A lot of people don't like to do that.
Amen.
Taking risks. What about risk? Some people, there are certain people, I know a lot of you are in this congregation, you're that type of person. And that's okay. Because you're the ones who love adventure. You're the ones who are sometimes brave and fearless. People who look forward to a new stimulation. Folks who have a positive outcome in mind. You don't see the danger, you see the positive stuff at the end of the risk.
Amen.
That's a good quality. Very good one too. The summary of this message is, getting out of the boat is where all the action is. Just reflect back on what we read about the miracle. The disciples were in the boat, on the water.
Amen.
So here's a summary of the whole thing. If we close our books and say, "Amen," and go home now, getting out of the boat is where all the action is. It is also where all things of purpose in our lives happen. So if you are one of the people who don't like risk, don't like to venture out, or try something new, focus on something else more than the daily, mundane kind of routine, you're not in for new discoveries. So, condition your mind. And this kind of risk is spiritually bound. This is an account of the miracle of Jesus and Peter walking on the water. You see, every miracle in Scripture, science cannot explain any of it. It's a miracle. The very concept defies what is in the science lab, or even the very laws of science. It's God, folks. It's God. When someone is not likely to achieve something, and they really did, we say, wow, that's a miracle he did that. Because he never expected he or she would attempt that. Miracles sometimes evolve from taking risks. The disciples risked everything to follow Jesus. Imagine, one morning they're with the nets, fishing for their livelihood. Jesus comes on the shores of Galilee. Follow me. And these guys will just drop everything. Follow Jesus. Taking risks. Amen. They left home, the jobs, and followed Jesus. They left the comfort, and they went for the unknown. I know that sounds very scary for some of you. Whenever risk is involved, they say, I'm not going there at all. Jesus is in full swing of his earthly ministry at this time. His disciples had seen so much. They had heard so much of his teachings. They had seen so many miracles. And just before they went into the boat, the miracle before that was Jesus feeding 5,000 people with loaves and fishes. Verse 22, Jesus made them get into the boat and go ahead of him. The original Greek implies that Jesus compelled them to go. It was more than a suggestion. See, I guess you guys could get in the boat and go. No, he said, get into the boat now and go to the other side of the lake. Sea of Galilee. Jesus interceded for his disciples because he took off. As they went that way, Jesus went that way, straight up to the mountain. And he went to pray. Little did they know that part of Jesus' prayer was on their behalf. I'm telling you this morning, when Jesus prayed, or whenever he prayed, even now as our intercessor, whenever we kneel down and pray, Jesus takes whatever we ask of the Father, he takes it to him. Amen. So if you're a person who don't like to pray, you're missing out on a lot. Yes. You're missing out.
Yes, amen.
We all should embrace praying.
Amen.
As one of the cornerstones of our Christian activities.
Yes.
So he went to pray. Jesus interceded for his disciples as they traveled across the lake. Then, the storm comes up. I was told that on these huge lakes, like Lake Michigan, and other lakes that we have, sometimes you could have waves just towering 6, 7 to 10 feet that can sink small boats and stuff. So this was one of the situations on the Sea of Galilee. It must have been more than they were used to. These guys were on the shores of Galilee, close by fishing. But to go across that lake, wherever the point their destination was, I don't know. The Gospel of Mark 6 says that Jesus saw them straining at the oars, because as the sea became rough and the waves were just welling up, they were straining at the oars. The boat didn't have any engine, so they had to use the oars. And you can imagine them trying to steady the boat. First point, Jesus sees us when we are straining at the oars. That means, in our terms, struggling. And all of us struggling somewhere or the other. I don't care what age you are, you struggle. It is part of our upbringing. It is part of what we inherited from Adam. Amen. Struggle, the toils of life. Struggling. We were born to carry out that activity. Struggle. Strain at the oars. struggling with finances, struggling with relationships, struggling with our children, struggling with our daily schedules, struggling to get to a job or to get a job, and many other situations that cause us to strain at the oars. That's what life has for us. So we are on a sea that demands struggling, sea of life. Jesus went to pray, interceding for them, because he saw them struggling to get across to the other side. He had sent them across the sea to the other side. The storms are sometimes a way that Jesus gets our attention. I told that to somebody yesterday. Long laundry list of problems. Say, hey, hello. Jesus needs your attention. You're telling all this to me. I can't fix what you have. I can't fix what you're communicating to me. Amen. There is someone who can do that for you. Because she was struggling. Storms are a way that Jesus can get our attention. It is a way for us to get our priorities right and in order. Many of you have never really gone through this experience of being on the sea in a ferry or boat that is rough. But I'm telling you, I had that experience a few times, and you just, the entire guts want to just spill out. 4 hours away from the main port of St. Vincent, the government had sent me to do a coaching assignment on one of the resort islands. And the assignment was finished about 5 o'clock in the evening. And you had to catch the boat for 6. The boat didn't leave until about 7:30. It was already getting dark. And about 3 miles or so out to sea, in the middle of the ocean, not even 2 hours into the trip yet, you could feel the vessel. It's only that as you're going constantly up and down. When you look out the window, all you can see is that just the rough waters. My goodness, look at that. Well, immediately I went and I went to look at the demeanor of the captain who was turning the wheel. And the ship was just plodding along. And up, down. And sometimes a big wave would just wash over the entire deck. And everybody had to be inside. And some people were really scared. Well, I don't know. I was adventurous. I was kind of fearless. I said, man, the more the boat rocks, the sweeter. But there was a certain point when it was really bad, and I got afraid. I tell you, I got afraid. So I could imagine how the disciples felt in that situation. Jesus saw them. This does not catch him by surprise. I bet a lot of prayers are offered up to God when we are at the height of desperation and need. The Spirit takes to God the yearnings of our hearts, and sometimes we don't even know that. As our Pastor Peter said the other day when he came here to preach, the only thing some of us know when we get on our knees is, Lord, help! Because we can't say the words. But God knows what is in the heart. And because of what is set up there for us, on our behalf, His Spirit is able to take the words that we cannot verbalize, take it to the Father on our behalf. How privileged we are. It is true. Burt Reynolds, in a movie Stranded Out in the Ocean, he was swimming back in the movie. And he said, Lord, I will live the 10 commandments. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not, thou shalt not, thou shalt not. I will learn the 10 commandments. He was promising God all of that because he was having problems. He will give a 50% back to you of his gross earnings. But as he got closer to safety, he said, Lord, don't take 50, I'll give you 10. That's sometimes our mentality. Sometimes you find God in the storm. Sometimes it is good to strain at the oars for a while. We learn in a storm better than when everything is going okay. We tend to forget God. We grow and mature because of trials and trouble.
Amen.
If an athlete wants to get really good, he got blood, sweat, and tears on that track. If you want to be really buff, you got to get in that gym. You got to pump iron until the muscles swell.
Yes.
It's not easy. Nothing good comes really easy. So what did you learn in your own storm? I know each of us had, or we have. What have you learned in your storm? What did God show you about yourself in your storm? Some people may learn maturity. Some people may learn to what they need to work on. You learn what kind of attitude you have and really what you think about God in a storm. These are all the things that come before us when we are experiencing storms. Sometimes it is so intense that people go into depression. They don't know what to do.
Amen.
That's when depression sets in. And that's when, if we recognize what to do, we're going to open our eyes and we're going to see Jesus coming. Coming on the water, on the very storm that we're facing. Jesus goes to them. You would find how teachable you are and what you're willing to change and what you're willing to change when there are storms. Yeah? That is the stuff that the disciples learned while they were in the boat, thinking that God had forgotten them. Jesus had forgotten us. And when they were left to fend for themselves. So Jesus goes to them. And in our storms, folks, Jesus comes to us.
Amen.
Verse 25, during the fourth watch of the night, Jesus went out to them, walking on the water. Fourth watch of the night. Let's consider the timing of that. The Jews, as well as the Romans, usually divided the night into 4 watches of 3 hours each. The first watch began at 6 p.m. The second watch began at 9 p.m. The third watch at 12 o'clock, midnight. And the fourth watch at 3 o'clock in the morning. So you can imagine, if they had hit the water in the boat about 6 o'clock in the evening, how many hours they have been straining at the oars until 3 o'clock in the morning. When I was studying this message, I remember Hurricane Hugo. And I shook my head. I said, Lord, you're awesome. I remember that night in St. Croix when that hurricane hit. We were expecting 190 miles per hour. They almost didn't have any category for that storm. It was so powerful. And all my children, they were just fast asleep. They didn't know one thing about what happened. How many times Christian and I had moved them from one place of security to another place. And that storm started at 9 o'clock in the night. And it raged. It raged. If the sliding door was not pinned, it would have been gone like paper. Yeah, it was horrible. Really horrible. We heard when a side of the house, one of the room towards the weather side, we had to close that room because that was the danger room where the wind was coming down. We had heard when somebody, a section of wood or something, just went in there and just smashed the whole window glass, a quarter of that broadside of the house. And we dared not look in there to see what happened. But the water just poured in. And from 9 o'clock until 2 o'clock in the morning, it was raging. Except for right about 1 o'clock, when the eye of the storm passed over that island. I was able to run out and move a lot of the debris that I know might just turn around at the second hit of the storm. You know, then it started raging again. 2 o'clock, and after 2, hurricane. It was said that the power of the storm was 214 miles an hour. I think, well, Alice would know that. Because, Hugo, Hurricane Hugo. Folks, it's in times like these, people learn to focus on God. I'm telling you, I have never been so afraid. I said, Lord, I don't know what is happening, but we need you right now. We need you. I mean, Christiana looked at me, I looked at her. When there was some weird sound that popped out, bang, bang, bang. I mean, things were just bombarding the house, hitting on the roof, and I was afraid. You could imagine my disciples felt in that condition. Listen, folks, 4th watch of the night. And as they were at the height, the pinnacle of that fear, straining at the oars, they looked. There's somebody coming, something coming. And they didn't recognize it's Jesus yet. It's a ghost! When the disciples saw him walking on the lake, they were terrified. To add to their misery, something was coming. It's a ghost, they cried out in fear. But Jesus immediately, I love that word, immediately, as if he read the thoughts, the mind, the feelings, the emotion. He said, take courage, man. What's wrong with you? I'm here. Do not be afraid. Listen, that's a breakthrough. When in the midst of all that storm of that trial, we don't know where to turn. Jesus says, take courage. I am here. A lot of times we, in a Christian walk and our activities, we move away from God. And he has come to us to let us know, hey, I'm here, right here. You just beating up on yourself for nothing. You're just trying to carry that load by yourself. You're just going to strain at the oars by yourself. What's wrong with you? Sometimes you really need a 2x4 to straighten us. Well, that's true. Every one of us, me, including me, I would say, what's wrong with me? I'm a man of faith. What is happening? The Lord, you got to take this because I need your help. And I'm telling you, it is one of the ways that I've grown so much. Over the years, I've been through so many storms. And in every situation, God has come through. Amen. Every situation. Secondly, Jesus comes to us. The prophet Malachi says, God sits as a refiner and purifies the silver. Listen, he won't leave you there forever, but sometimes it feels like it. Because when we're straining at the oars, that's when the growth takes place. That's when it calls upon our trust and our faith in God. So that we experience these things, that we're being refined like silver. A little while before morning, Jesus went to the disciples. It had been a rough night, but Jesus shows up in the morning. Listen, when you're going through it in the night, watch out for the morning. Hold on. You know, when the silver refiner knows that the silver is pure and it's ready to come out of the furnace, the moment when he knows that the silver is ready to come out is when the refiner looks at the silver and he can see his reflection. If his reflection is not in the silver, it still needs to remain in the fire. Listen, God leaves us in there so that his reflection can be seen seen in us. When the Bible tells us to, in everything, to give thanks.
Amen.
Sometimes we think, great good things when things are happening nice with me. My pocket got money, our bank account is good. I'm able to pay all my bills. But no! When the troubles come, when we are straining at the oars, give thanks.
Amen.
Give thanks. Because the refiner is ready to see his reflection in us.
Yes, he is.
This is at the point where a lot of people give up. Turn their backs on God. They go back in the world. They forget the first love for God.
Amen.
They end up losers. Because Satan has made a laughing stock of their faith. God's reflection. Listen, this is the part of the message I love the best. God's reflection right in the midst of trouble and trial. When we are going through that and we begin to hold on to him and wrestle with him like Jacob. Wrestle with him. And then wee hours of the morning God said, here, I'm right here. And he sees in us that trust and that yearning for him, because we know that he is the potter and we are the clay. He is the refiner and we are the silver.
Yes.
His refiner, his reflection comes in more. He makes us more like Christ. Wow. I'm telling you, this gives so much encouragement. So much encouragement that God wants from us. That is what he wants from us. To see his reflection in us, and sometimes that happens because he has to put a little more heat on us so we can reflect Christ in our lives. The disciples were crossing the Sea of Galilee, a place where they had fished, a place where they knew they were familiar with Galilee. So how dare Galilee turn against them in like this storm now, this same sea where we fished? Sometimes, folks, we get trouble in the very familiar places we are. In the workplace, at home, at school, family, among family. Yes, a lot of that happens in very familiar places. The things that we are familiar to us, that's where Jesus shows up to help us. A place where he comes to us. If you're sick, he walks to you. If you're in fear, he walks to you. If you face death, he walks to you. And thirdly, Jesus rescues. He rescues. Matthew 14:28-33. And Peter answered him, Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water. And he said, come. So Peter got out of the boat and walked on the water and came to Jesus. Jesus says, come. That word, that one word, come. I'm telling you, it's a complete sentence. I can stand here and you can sit back there and I can tell you, come. And you know exactly what I mean. That's what Jesus is saying to us. Come. Come. Get out of the boat. Get out of the boat. Folks, this is where the risk is. A lot of times we beat up on poor Peter because Peter went out, get out of the boat, and then he took his eye and he sat there and said, oh, I wouldn't have done that. I would have, you're right. All the other disciples were in the boat. Peter was the only one. He was the only one brave enough to say, Lord, bid me come to you on the water. Yes. Jesus said, come. Yes. Do you think Jesus was mad with Peter? Never. Never. Jesus admired Peter for making that request. Yes. Would you make that request to Christ now, today? Tell him, come. Lord, I'm in the boat of problems and trials. I need you. Yes. He's telling you to get out. Preach. Get out. Staying in the boat is too comfortable. You need to get out. Get out. Jesus said, come. we can picture the hand of Almighty God reaching out to tell us, come. You know why the Lord told Peter to come? He was the only one that asked to walk on water. The only one in that boat. He was the only one willing to take a risk. He was the only one who was motivated and brave enough to venture out of the boat to meet Jesus.
Amen.
Hebrews 12 and 2 says, let us fix our eyes on Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith. Some of us this morning need to get out of the boat.
Yes.
Too comfortable. We don't want to give up this, we don't want to give up that. You want a miracle? Well, you got to get out of the boat to receive it.
Amen.
You want to really walk on water? Well, you got to get out of the boat, because you can't walk on water in the boat. You're comfortable. And Jesus is telling us to get up, step out to meet him. They were all scared, but only Peter dared to get out. Only Peter called out to Jesus for instructions. The disciples had watched Jesus feed thousands of people, 5 loaves and 2 fish. The miracle worker, but only Peter asked for the miracle. Jesus did not even get mad with Peter. When the waves of life crashed on him, took his eyes off Jesus, he began to sink. Yeah. Curiosity. Jesus is there. Wait, where am I? Where am I? And then Peter must have just, where am I? Is this real? Yeah. And then he started to go down. Yeah. He simply reached out his hand. Jesus reached out his hand and reminded him that he needed to put his eyes back on Jesus. That's what we do. When we step out of the boat, that is not all. It doesn't finish there. As if we just read in Hebrews, we got to fix our eyes on him. Fix. You know what fix means? It's to keep it there. Don't take it off. Fix your eyes on him. Last week in there, we had soccer tryouts. I told the little girls who were trying out, I noticed they were struggling to kick the ball with accuracy into the goal. I said, don't look at the ball, look at the goal. Amen. Fix your eyes on the goal and kick the ball. Your foot will know where the ball is. The next girl who came up, bang, inside the goal, she said, yes! Fix your eyes on Jesus. Amen. I tell you, there's too many distractions that will cause us to get our eyes off him. Fix our eyes on Jesus means to look on and don't be distracted by obstacles and meaningless things that cause us to stumble. First responders risk their lives while others are running for fear. That's why we have so much respect for firemen. People run from the fire, they run to the fire. Every week we see God do something amazing, some amazing things through us. Early this week we heard that Alice was out of surgery. Today Alice is here.
Amen. Amen. Yes, God.
There's so many things that happen around us, folks. We take for granted.
Amen.
God has done a lot about the storms that we face.
Yes, God.
And sometimes we remain so unthankful. Every week. Maybe to see a miracle in our lives, we need to be a miracle for someone else.
Yes.
We can't be. The greatest hero in our life has to be Jesus. He is the one that not only rescues us from circumstances and situations, but he rescues us for eternity, even in the forgiveness of sin. Wow. We sang this morning, thank you for the cross. Had it not been for the cross, we would not have been here today. Folks, remember these things this morning in closing. Number one, Jesus sees us in our struggles. So if you are feeling like you're drowning, just remember that your lifeguard can walk on water. Jesus comes to us. Secondly, Jesus comes to us. He made the first move towards us and is reaching his hand out for us in the storm. Thirdly, Jesus rescues us. You can know the lifeguard, who is Jesus. Sometimes our faith is never constant. It is always changing by what we go through, up and down. The barometer, the needle of faith is up and down. Sometimes you feel, yes, today, Monday, we feel really close to God. Lord, I'll do anything for you. But Tuesday comes and a little storm comes and, oh my goodness, wait, where am I? What is happening to me? And our faith, it diminishes. Up and down. Wavers. We have our mountaintops and we have our valleys. And the Lord knows that. But He still loves us. He is Lord in all of them. He will help us ride out the storms, and He will help us keep humble when we are experiencing His blessings. If we are to learn a lesson, it is better from Him than our own. The Bible says, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. That gets us into a lot of trouble. Take the leap of faith today as He speaks to each one of us. That prayer is vital. It's vital in going through the storms. Jesus demonstrated that example. Faith. Faith. Faith is willingness to take a risk. Would you take that risk today? Getting out of the boat of all your troubles and trials. And let Jesus be the master, miracle worker, and that ultimate lifeguard. May God bless these thoughts so hearts for His name's sake. Amen.